us through the quarter. I mean, the stocks had a great run from 3 to 12, as we said, a little bit lower today. But obviously all the market dynamics, which were new and growing in the first place, have been disrupted, I imagine, to some degree by COVID.
Yes, we had an eventful 6 months, as you know. Of course, we started out very strong in the early part of the year, and then COVID hit everyone. I think there's no one in the country or in the world that hasn't been affected by it. But we adjusted to it. As you know, we were made essential by most states in the country. We had to change all of our practices to make both our patients, our customers, and our employees safe. We were able to do that successfully across the country. We closed 2 of the largest M&A transactions in the first 6 months, Grassroots and Select. And we finished the half year on a record result with $121.4 million of revenue, $28 million of EBITDA, basically a zero net income line, which is, I think, really great. And we had sequential growth of over 140%, quarter over quarter, 16% sequential over the year. So I think we're results are good. The sector seems to be very healthy, and we're seeing substantial step up growth going into the third and fourth quarter.
Do you believe that pressure on states' finances, obviously dwindling budget surpluses and in a lot of cases deficits, are going to inevitably lead states to adopt more broader cannabis allowances, or is that sort of a straw man right now?
I mean, Carl, I think that by the end of this year, you're going to have over 39 states have medical programs and 14 states have adult use programs. But I think the most important event is going to take place on the East Coast in November, where New Jersey is going to have on their ballot legalization of cannabis for adult use. If that happens, and the polling looks as though it will happen, you're going to see New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut most likely go adult use as well. And at that point in time, you're going to have over 80% of the U.S. population have access to adult use cannabis by this time next year, which we think will probably force the hand of the federal government to step in and finally start to recognize the industry and regulate it.
Is that true, Boris? Do you believe that would be the case if there wasn't a change in power in the White House in November?
Well, I think it's very difficult to avoid the fact that, if New Jersey goes, and we expect it to, we've heard both Governor Cuomo and Pennsylvania and Connecticut, all three say that they would likely go. That means Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, probably Maryland. On the East Coast would all be adult use. Obviously you have California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Arizona also going adult use in Nevada in November. So I can't see how the federal government, no matter who's in power, is not going to address that issue.
What about some of the tough lessons out west, Boris, when it comes to California and Oregon, the resilience of the black market, the expectations for tax revenue, not quite what people had hoped? Do new states benefit from those tough lessons?
Well, I think so. I think, first of all, you have to differentiate between the way the East Coast regulated the sector and the West Coast. In the West Coast, as you know, you had a pretty free cannabis culture already for about 30 years. And you had a lot of homegrown cannabis, illegal farms and stuff like that. On the East Coast, you never did. And so the East Coast is highly regulated, seed to sale. The West Coast wasn't. But you're now seeing California, because they need the tax revenues. In the last 3 months, we've seen substantial enforcement on the side of California authorities working together with the DEA to try to bring some order to the illegal businesses. And we're seeing prices rise in California in the sector of flower because of these enforcement mechanisms that are being put in place. So we think that's good news. And the tax revenues in places like Colorado, Massachusetts on the East Coast are showing that you can have substantial tax revenue from this sector. And as you did with the lifting of prohibition in the 1920s and 30s, I think you're going to see that with cannabis going into this environment now.